Back to the top of the Premier League table thanks to a 2-0 win at Molineux over Wolves. Goal scorers today, Leandro Trossard with his 9th Premier League goal of the season, and Martin Odegaard made it sure 2-0 with his 8th goal of the season. Let's hear now from the Arsenal captain.
Martin, well done. After a tough week of results, what does it mean to get this win here? Tough win.
Yeah, massive win for us. So delighted. I think it was a tough week for us. Few tough results, and emotionally been really hard, But we had to keep going, and today was all about bouncing back and getting the win, and we did. So really happy.
Yeah, how was it to deal with all the emotions mentally coming to this match? It was tough.
Yeah, it's hard, It was a big disappointment. Obviously, we wanted to go further in the Champions League, and also the game before we lost. So it is hard, but I think in football the good thing is you always get a new chance, and still a long way to go and still tight in the race. So today was all about getting back to business, and we did.
And you fought hard. The first half, especially, they played very compact. It was hard to find those passes, and especially the decisions in the final third. What made it so hard during this match?
Yeah, I think it's a good team, well organised, physical team. They defend well, and they made it hard for us. But we just had to keep on playing, and we knew that we were going to get the chances, and in the end the goals. So it was good in the end.
And you pushed until the end. So how important was it to get that second goal? Because Wolves were still in the match.
Yeah, it's always a bit tricky, when you're 1-0 up. We wanted to get the second one earlier, but again, it's a good team, and we have to give them credit as well. But I don't think it was our best performance. But today was all about the 3 points, and we got them.
Yeah, was it the case of one of those days where you just needed a win? You needed the result more than a glowing performance necessarily?
Yeah, I think 3 points was the key. That was the main thing. As I said, I don't think we played the best game, but we got the win, and we're back now, so that's good.
And you got a goal as well. You said finally. You're pleased.
Yeah, finally. It was about time. I've been looking for the goal for a while now, so it was good to get it again.
And you're back at the top of the table. So how does it feel finishing the week on the top of the Premier League? Because it really sends a message.
Yeah, after a tough week, it's obviously nice to finish on top. That's where we want to be. So that's good, and we have to keep on fighting now. Push each other every day. We have to believe, and we have to go for it, and then we'll see.
Well done, Martin.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Not necessarily the best performance, as he said there, but all that mattered today was the 3 points.
Yeah, look, we've spoken about the disappointment in terms of losing to Aston Villa, the Champions League exit. So this was just about getting 3 points remaining and getting back on top of the table and putting the pressure on everybody else that plays after. So, look, like I said, it wasn't the greatest, but for me, I'm not that interested. I think the points at this business part of the season is the most important thing.
And it was his goal, Martin, that secured the points. It came in the 95th minute. It was very nervy until then. 1-0, courtesy of Trossard's goal, and then Odegaard came up with this beauty.
Yeah, as we know, with Martin, he just keeps going. He's a player that is instrumental in everything they do with the press, obviously his creativity. And fair play to him, he kept going. It was a lovely, cute little finish, to be honest. I wonder if the goalkeeper perhaps should have done better. Maybe Karen can tell me otherwise, but I think that it's just cheeky finish there, isn't it? OK, it's the end of the game. You might have thought he was going to try and kill it, but he just saw an opportunity to finish this game off completely. And, lovely little finish. Look at that. There was hardly any area to get that through, and he managed it. So fair play to him.
I thought it was a well-worked goal. Playing through the thirds and working it nicely. And I think he gave the keeper the eye there. I don't know whether that was his celebration, but it looked like he was going to cut it back, and it was a cheeky little finish. But I thought he deserved it. I thought Odegaard has been Arsenal's best player for quite a few weeks now. I thought he's been outstanding. Everything he does for the team, the press and all the defensive work. So he'll be pleased, like he said in his interview, to get one on the score sheet tonight.
Yeah, and to end the week top of the table, it wasn't that comfortable, as the scoreline suggests. It was a hard-fought first 45 where they had to find a way through after a lot of half chances. And then after the break, a lot more opportunities. Wolves had their chances as well.
Yeah, but I think they talked about in the team talk there just afterwards, Martin was talking about belief. And I think that's a really strong word, because what they've done now is underline that. They've really injected themselves with that belief. They had to come away with something here today. to reinforce that. So that's all important. And you could see suddenly that once they went in front, the second half was a totally different Arsenal, played with real authority. I thought Declan Rice was everywhere for the team, quite brilliant, sat on his own in a slightly different structure to the Arsenal midfield. And they looked really strong. They never looked in any real danger. Wolves, of course, we know they've got a lot of injuries in attacking sense. They weren't really be able to create too much. So it was a game Arsenal needed to go and win, and they've done that.
Let's look at the goal that started it all off. The finish, a little bit unorthodox.
I think that's probably the best word. Like I said, Arsenal were really snatching at chances in the first half. And like you said, look at the minute that it was scored, 45 minutes plus. So it was such a key time. I thought Jesus did really well to bring it. And then Trossard, he just swings like a stiff leg at it. But if it hit that cleaner, I wonder, would the goalkeeper have got there? But he brings it down, Jesus, he's strong, he sets it up and then he just swings it. And you see from the next angle, it just doesn't hit it cleanly.
No.
It's like a toe punt and it's got backspin on it and everything. And then this is another great angle to see it as well. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how it comes off. If a goal goes back in the net, it doesn't matter. He kicks right
across the face of the leather on all that ball. It's not textbook strike. But it doesn't matter, it's in the back of the net. And maybe it needed something like that to kickstart this win because it was looking like they were looking for the perfect goal. And all of a sudden he has a swing at that and it opens the door. And that's all you need then for the team to go rushing through and put the performance in that they needed.
Equally pleasing for them will be the fact that they've now kept 6 clean sheets in a row away from home. They'd equalled the record set in 1997. You were still playing then, and now they've broken it.
Yeah, and when you're in a team that's really creative and scores lots of goals, and if you're in sort of 2 compartments, you break into 2 different teams, you don't get any credit for anything unless you get clean sheets. So that'd have been pleasing for them because they need clean sheets. That was the order of the day at half-time, clean sheet, guys, and that would have been enough. And that's how we played it in those days.
I think I did something on Generation XG, I think it was last week, on the defensive setup of Arsenal, and it was like, I'm really, if they don't win the Premier League, I'd be disappointed for them because of how good they've been defensively. And I think that clean sheet wins you titles and the goals win you the game. So I'd be like, you'd be gutted if you came away with having, broken that record.
In 1999, we conceded 17 goals and didn't win the Premier League.
Wow.
So, you have to
What did you do then the next season to go and win it? Who did you go and get?
Well, the boss then went and invested and got Thierry Henry.
So that's what they've got to do, really. If they don't win it, they've got to go and get
out there.
No, but like a Maverick, someone that will get the winner for them. If that's the difference. If they've got the structure defensively,
that's the good starting point, without doubt. They get everyone back there. The edge of their own box, they'll take all 11 players back. In our day, Bergkamp, Dennis, and Henry just stayed up the pitch. So he does everything he can to keep that clean sheet, and so they should. When you've got all of the 10 players, outfield players behind the ball.
The only kind of chink in that armour there is at right back position. And I think it was very frustrating to see for you today as well.
Kivior?
Yeah.
Left back, yeah.
Left back, sorry.
Yeah, at times. But, he maybe doesn't feel like he's completely ready. But he's another central defender playing out of position. So Tomiyasu wasn't available. Just a couple of moments from him. So maybe we'll have to look at and assess the end of the season to see which areas he wants to strengthen in. But that's an area where, Tierney was allowed to go on loan and Zinchenko's had injury issues. So, they've been decimated a little bit. Timber out with an ACL, Tommy now out again. Hasn't really got any reliability in that left-back spot.
Yeah, I think, obviously, it's been a bit of a problem. Zinchenko, when he's played, he's looked vulnerable. And Martin's obviously mentioned those players. But I think the difference for Arsenal will be that Maverick. And you mentioned about that clean sheet and having Henry. To try and find someone like that is very difficult, but they are missing that Maverick that I think could win the Premier League.
I want to talk about Wolves. There were a couple of challenges that you weren't too happy with. I think we talked about in the first half break, Kilman, and the fact that perhaps this could have been punished a little bit more than a yellow card.
Well, I said I don't like seeing players being sent off, but that looks a bit reckless to me. So it's borderline. But I think as well, in the media, I think there's a responsibility for us to set an example and sort of trust their decisions. They're the on-field officials. VAR looked at it. There's another one there. Look, that's a clear. The referee's right next to that. He didn't see it. Didn't give a booking for that. So you see these challenges taking place. It actually got quite physical, Karen, didn't it? I thought Wolves were a little bit. These tap tackles. That's a kick in the face. But thankfully, he got up and he was okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Mikel Arteta's pretty calm considering there was quite a few of those that we just saw, those tackles going in. But thankfully, I think everyone came off okay in the end of the game.
Disappointing from a Wolves point of view now. They are on their longest run without a win in the Premier League that's stretched now to 5 games. What do you think they could have done today? Also bearing in mind they've obviously had major players missing.
Well, they've featured kids. You know, they've got a 15-year-old on the bench. Like we said at the start of the show, the circumstances that Gary O'Neill came into Wolves, we're all talking about them potentially being in the relegation, losing players, the financial situation of the football club. I think he's done a brilliant job. If they could finish top half, he would take that, because look, the conversations that we've spoken about and how many injuries to key players. And the difference for them tonight really was in the final third. And you can only be as good as your players out there. And if you haven't got your best attackers available, it's always going to be tricky. And you're playing against an Arsenal team that needed to respond to try and win the title. Yeah,
there was also a debut today in the Premier League for Tawanda Chirewa. And you were quite impressed with him.
Definitely. He looks like he's going to be around for a good while. There's always someone that benefits from all these injuries. You wonder whether he'd have got that opportunity without this glut of injuries they've got. I think it's difficult for Gary O'Neill. I think that's what's at 5 games now without a win. So he went out of the FA Cup as well to Coventry, which would have hurt them. So they need a win desperately to get that back on track. Because I know he's questioned the club a little bit in terms of the budget and what he wants to spend. You don't want to be doing that too often. And I think when you see that so many youngsters on the bench, clearly they need to invest in the summer.
Right, we're going to go back to Molineux now because we have standing by...
Leandro, how hard was it, though, to play today after the disappointment, especially after the Villa game, then the Champions League? Like, I'm sure you've been asked about it a lot, but it must have been, like, heartbreaking. How did you get up for today?
To be fair, I don't think it was really hard for us because we wanted that response and we wanted to get back on the pitch and show that we're still there and that we win games, and that's what we're supposed to be. And like I said, I think it's a great result. It's a tough place to come. They have showed that in the past already, and yeah, we need to keep that in mind and yeah, like I said, go to the next game.
All right, Leandro, thank you so much for joining us and great to hear your
You're
thoughts. Well done today, Leandro Trossard, with the opening goal for Arsenal before Martin Odegaard made it 2-0. It's 3 points for the Gunners back to winning ways and to the top of the table. He's having a fantastic season, and just hearing him say there that they just really wanted to, that motivation which you said was going to be so key, it was there.
I liked his character, you know, like when I was saying to him, like, how was it? And he was like, no, we wanted the next game. And like, that maybe he's him, and that's why you need to recruit someone like that, because he just goes again, that resilient side of him. But I like that, and maybe that's them a year maturer in the title race. You know, they're new in that relative space in terms of Champions League. They haven't been there for quite a few years, but they're a year maturer in a title race. And I thought his answers and his energy and his resilience really shone through in that interview, to be fair.
Yeah, and do you know what he deals well with? Being taken out of the team, being put back in. It's not every player that can cope in that kind of environment, because you need that type of player. When it gets competition for places, it gets really tough. You've got to be able to accept. You don't like it, but when you come in, you make it count. And he seems to do that every time, being outstanding.
All right, we've heard plenty of reactions from Arsenal. Let's go back to Molineux now and hear from Wolves manager Gary O'Neill.
Gary, you really made Arsenal work for it. Of course, it's not the result you wanted, but how proud are you of the commitment and the performance?
Yeah, an incredible performance. Like one of my favourites, I think, from how tough I thought it would be for us. For the lads to show the commitment and togetherness and work rate and push Arsenal as hard as we did, I thought was an incredible effort from everyone. So very proud. Disappointed with the second goal, especially, really soft. Yeah, it didn't deserve to lose 2-0. 1-0 and not being able to score would have probably been the worst it could have been for us. To lose the second one was disappointing, but yeah, really proud. Incredible performance. Like, yeah, can't believe how well the lads did, really, with how short we are. You know, Channy able to do just more than 45. Mario on as a number 9, did well as a 9 actually. Yeah, so an enjoyable evening, which you don't get too often when you lose a game, but I really enjoyed watching the lads, and I'm sure the supporters did as well.
Yeah, you mentioned players playing out of their position. It shows huge solidarity, especially players who've been playing a lot of minutes as well. Do you feel like in this season where you progressed so much, you're still learning new things about this team?
Yeah, there's loads of things that we need to improve, and the break and the pre-season will help us with those. But yeah, I think the aim when I was driving up to Wolverhampton in August was to make sure that we'd stayed in the Premier League. We knew it was going to be a tough ask because of the small squad. We were able to put loads of points on the board with a really good run early in the season when we had key players available. At the moment it's not that, but we're getting a real good chance to look at some of the others and to still keep pushing them to keep the standards high, and if we can produce that every week, I'm more than happy with that. So disappointed we couldn't put points on the board, because it would have been a real big achievement to take points off of Arsenal tonight. But next best thing is a performance like that the fans and myself and the staff and the players can be proud of.
Proud of the performance today. It's not quite what I was expecting.
Yeah, but look at the circumstances again. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, you've got a 15-year-old on your bench, you're starting some new players, they're heavily depleted, you're playing an Arsenal team. You know, he's, like I said, the narrative before he came in was like, I don't know how Wolves are going to cope this season. So, like, he's been realistic, and he also doesn't want to have a go at the players, because if they've done what he's asked them to do and they don't have the players and the rest of the squad to give him that extra push, then that's it. But I think he's been brilliant for them this season, and what a top manager he is.
Yeah, I think they did also make it very difficult for Arsenal today.
They did, but, you know, there's the manager adjusting his expectations to the group that he's got, and so we would expect that. He's listening to what the room is and what it is around him. There's lots of youngsters there on the bench, youngster on the pitch, but no one ready to put the ball in the back of the net for him, and that is a real problem. And you would have felt they were signs, wasn't there, that they could have upset Arsenal today, but they just didn't have anything on the counter-attack today.
I mean, if you think about the goals, one was in the 45th minute and one was on the 89th minute. So I know you could look at that and Arsenal had lots of chances, but, you know, it is the details. And like I said, with a depleted squad, you know, he will be disappointed they lost, but again, realistic and happy.
Yeah, and they had those opportunities as well. There was that great, I'm thinking of the save from Raya, the woodwork.
Yeah.
Had one of those gone in,
yeah,
would have been a different story today.
Well, yeah, I mean, they went on to Kivior's side as much as Martin was frustrated with a little bit at times. You know, he should have dealt with that a little bit better, but João Gomez goes on to it. He could have pulled it back, but he keeps going and then tries to go for the near post, and Raya pulls off a really, really good save at the near post and gets a fingertip to it. But I think, you know, Gabriel, I'm not sure about the header there. I think he's trying to be too precise. I think clear it better and don't put yourself in that situation. And
Gomez does really well, doesn't he, there? It's quite a cute look, a little bit of skill at the end. Puts his foot, rolls his foot over a little dummy, draws the challenge and then hits it. And to be, Raya stood up well there and gets a really important hand on it.
Yeah, in the end, a clean sheet for Arsenal and all 3 points for them. This is huge. And now it's over to Liverpool once again. It's a bit like that in this exciting title race we're in the middle of, as much a game of mental strength as it is what happens on the pitch.
Without doubt, it's over to Liverpool now. Arsenal play against Chelsea, of course, in just a few days' time. And then the big one, I mean, they're all big ones against Spurs, and Spurs have been on a mid-season break, haven't they? Arsenal would have played 4 games before Spurs put their boots on again, so you'd like to think that they'd be nice and fresh.
Good for them or bad for them?
Well, personally, I prefer to keep active.
Yeah, I agree.
As long as we've not got any injuries, but Chelsea is a huge game now on Tuesday, and of course they play tonight, so it should be equal.
And then Spurs play Man City and Liverpool as well.
It's going to be fun, isn't it? It's going to be fun.
It's up to Spurs, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. That's what we love about the Premier League. Nobody predicted, though, that Crystal Palace results at Liverpool. I don't think many people would have seen what Aston Villa did to Arsenal as well. So we can sit here and do all the mathematics we want. The Premier League will just throw out the script.
We have no idea, do we?
Exactly.
And that's why it's so good.
Absolutely why we love it. The run in. We're going to be with you every step of the way as the Premier League reaches its conclusion on the 19th of May. We are down to single digits. The run in continues. The battle at the bottom continues as well. We've had just about enough for today, though. We've seen so many goals, so much drama, and big victories for the away teams in all 3 matches. From Karen Carney, Martin Keown, and myself, Julia Stewart, it's been great watching with you. Bye-bye.
Thought about Arsenal's title hopes. although Arsenal lost the last Premier League game to Aston Villa 2-0 and also lost their Champions League tie against Bayern Munich. They bounced back to claim this victory against a very dogged performance by Wolverhampton Wanderers at their own ground. This was important because, although they handed the initiative to Manchester City, so does their title hope rivals Liverpool, who also lost to Crystal Palace. And especially because City will only play in the league against Brighton on Thursday, which means Arsenal can go 4 points clear if they beat Chelsea on Wednesday, which will undoubtedly put the pressure on Manchester City. This season, Arsenal are much better than last season, where they capitulated at the end by losing to bottom teams. They are actually the best defensively, and if Man City were to be less than perfect, which could happen, they are ready to pick up where they are a couple of weeks ago in pole position. This being the Premier League, there are possibilities of another twist in the competition which could favor them. It would be silly to write them off just yet. Looking forward, even if Arsenal were to fail to win the title this season, next season holds very good promise. Arsenal right now is the best in the league defensively, and they also score lots of goals. Maybe all they need to win the league is sign one good goalscorer.